Imagine working your entire life. 30 years of early mornings, late nights, saving every dollar you could. And then one day, it's all gone. Not because of a market crash. Not because of bad luck. Because one man looked you in the eye, shook your hand, and lied to you for 20 years straight. This is the story of the biggest financial fraud in human history. A man who stole $65 billion. And the scariest part? By the end of this video, you'll realize that the warning signs were there the entire time. People just refused to see them. And that same trick, it's still being used today on people just like you and me. Let's go back to the beginning. It's the 1960s. A young man starts a small investment firm on Wall Street with just $5,000. He's smart. He's charming. And most importantly, he's passionate. He doesn't try to get rich overnight. Instead, he builds something much more powerful than money. He builds trust. His name is Bernie Madoff. Now here's what made Madoff different from your average scammer. He didn't target desperate people. He didn't run shady ads or promise overnight millions. No. He went after the smart test people in the room. Wealthy families, hedge fund managers, even banks. People who should have known better. But here's the trick. Madoff didn't chase clients. He made them chase him. He created an air of exclusivity around his fund. You couldn't just hand him your money. You had to be invited. You had to know someone who knew someone. It felt like a privilege just to invest with him. And that right there is the first red flag most people miss. When something feels too exclusive, too special, too only for the lucky few, that's not a feature. That's a trap. Think about it like this. Imagine your friend tells you about a restaurant that has a secret menu. You can't even get in unless you know the owner personally. Suddenly, you don't care about the food. You just want to be part of the club. That's exactly the psychology Madoff used. But instead of overpriced steak, he was serving a fraud worth billions. So what was the actual scam? How did he pull it off for 20 years without getting caught? Here's where it gets wild. Madoff ran what's called a Ponzi scheme. And before you tune out thinking that sounds complicated, it's actually embarrassingly simple. Here's how it works. You give Madoff $100 to invest. He doesn't invest it. He just keeps it. But then your neighbor gives him $100 too. Madoff takes 50 of your neighbor's money and gives it to you. He says, hey, look, your investment made 50% returns this year. You're thrilled. You tell all your friends. Now your friends invest. Madoff uses their money to pay your returns, and so on, and so on. No real investing ever happens. He's just moving money from new people to old people, and everyone thinks they're getting rich. But here's the problem that every Ponzi scheme has, and this is important. So pay attention. It only works as long as new money keeps flowing in. The moment people stop investing, or too many people want to pull their money out at once, the entire thing collapses. It's a house of cards held together by nothing but trust and fresh cash. Now, most Ponzi schemes last a few months, maybe a year or two. Madoff ran his for decades. And the reason is absolutely infuriating. See, most scammers get greedy. They promise insane returns. 50%, 100%, double your money in a week. That kind of nonsense raises alarms immediately. But Madoff? He was smarter than that. He promised returns of about 10 to 12% a year. Not flashy, not outrageous. Just consistently good, suspiciously consistent. And that's the second red flag. In the real market, nobody wins every single month. The stock market goes up and down. That's how it works. If someone tells you they never lose money, they're either lying or they've invented something that defies the laws of finance. Either way, run. But people didn't run. They doubled down. Banks invested hundreds of millions. Charities trusted him with their entire endowments. One man, a Nobel Prize winner, put his life savings into Madoff's fund. And why wouldn't they? Every month, like clockwork, the statement showed gains. Beautiful, steady, reliable gains. Here's something most people don't know. A financial analyst named Harry Markopoulos figured out the fraud 9 years before Madoff was caught. 9 years, he went to the SEC, which is basically the financial police, and said, this man is running a Ponzi scheme. The math doesn't add up. It's impossible. You know what happened? Nothing. The SEC investigated Madoff multiple times, and every single time, they cleared him. Why? Because Madoff was a former chairman of the Nasdaq Stock Exchange. He was on a first-name basis with regulators. He literally helped write some of the rules he was breaking. The people who were supposed to catch him trusted him too much to question him, and this is maybe the most terrifying lesson of all. Sometimes the system that's supposed to protect you is the same system that fails you. Not because of corruption necessarily, but because of blind trust. When someone looks the part, talks the part, and has the right title next to their name, people stop asking questions. And that's when you're most vulnerable. So what finally brought this whole thing crashing down? 2 words. 2008. The global financial crisis hit. Markets around the world were tanking. People were panicking. And what do panicking people do with their investments? They pull them out. Suddenly Madoff was facing billions of dollars in withdrawal requests, and he didn't have the money. He never had the money. It was never invested. It was never real. In December of 2008, Madoff sat his 2 sons down, and he told them everything. The whole thing was a lie. Every return, every statement, every handshake and promise. A lie that stretched back at least 17 years. Some estimates say it went back to the 1970s. His sons turned him in that same night. When the news broke, the world lost its mind. $65 billion. Gone. Not mismanaged. Not lost in a bad trade. Stole. Through a lie told over and over and over again for decades. The fallout was devastating. Over 37,000 victims across 136 countries. People who lost everything. Retirees who had to go back to work at 70 years old. Charities that had to shut down overnight. One investor took his own life. Another victim, a French aristocrat, did the same. Families were shattered. Trust was destroyed. And all because one man decided that other people's money belonged to him. Madoff was sentenced to 150 years in prison. He died behind bars in 2021. He never showed real remorse. Now here's why I'm telling you this story. Because this is not just history. This is happening right now. The costumes have changed, but the trick is exactly the same. That crypto project promising guaranteed 20% monthly returns, Ponzi scheme, that Instagram guru showing off cars and mansions telling you to invest in his private fund. Red flag. That friend of a friend who says he's got a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, but you have to act fast and can't ask too many questions? You already know what that is. Here are 5 rules that will protect you for the rest of your life. 1. If it sounds too good to be true, it is. No exceptions. Ever. 2. Consistency is suspicious. Real investments go up and down. If someone only shows you wins, they're hiding something. 3. Exclusivity is a manipulation tool. If you have to be invited to invest, ask yourself why they need your money so badly while pretending they don't. 4. Always understand where your money is going. If you can't explain the investment to a 10-year-old, you don't understand it well enough to put your money in it. 5. Trust nobody blindly. Not your advisor, not your bank, not even your family. Verify everything. Every statement, every claim, every promise. Your money is your responsibility. Madoff proved that the most dangerous lie isn't the one that sounds crazy. It's the one that sounds perfectly reasonable. The one whispered by someone wearing a nice suit in a fancy office with a firm handshake and a warm smile. $65 billion didn't disappear because people were stupid. It disappeared because people trusted when they should have verified. Don't be the person who learns this lesson the hard way. If this story opened your eyes even a little bit, subscribe. Because this channel exists to make sure you see the traps before you walk into them, not after. Hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one.